All right.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Thank
Yay,
you.
Well
John.
done.
All right. We're sorry for the brief delay. In this technological world, glitches occur every now and then, but we're ready to proceed. So I call this meeting to order, the regular meeting of the Village of Tuxedo Park Board of Trustees for the month of April. Madam Clerk Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Mayor Citron,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Lindsay will note for the record is absent. Trustee Brooke,
Present.
Trustee Shara,
Present via Zoom.
thank you, and Trustee Turner.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Sherrick, would you be able to put your video on to participate in the meeting?
I will be able to in 3 minutes.
Thank you. Okay. Would you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, I have a few comments, really scheduling. I want the public to be aware of some events that are taking place in the village over the next month. I want to remind everyone that there's a paper shredding event where any resident can bring their collection of unwanted documents and other papers to Village Hall on Tuesday, April 22nd, which is Earth Day. The shredding event will begin at 9 a.m. If you cannot be at Village Hall at that time, you may drop off your papers to be shredded before that day, and Clerk Treasurer Dougherty will make sure that they are shredded. The second event is Arbor Day, and it will be celebrated on Saturday, April 26th at 11 a.m. between the front gate and the Historical Society. There's a budget hearing the day before on Friday, April 25th, where the village budget for the year 2025-2026 will be presented for public comment. That will be followed by a vote on the budget. That meeting will be held at 5 p.m. as it's a Friday, and we didn't want to make people sit around until 7 o'clock in the evening. So again, April 25th, the public hearing on the proposed village budget for the year 2025 to 2026. And finally, there is an election at the Tuxedo Union Free School District, both on the budget as well as for 3 candidates for the school board. I would note for the record that as of this date, 2 of those candidates are residents of the village of Tuxedo Park. One is Bronwyn Roundtree, who was the acting village justice and has decided to proceed with running for the school board. She lives on Westlake Road. And the other candidate from the village is Jean-Michel Turgina. He lives on Butternut, and the 2 candidates will be among multiple candidates who will be running for the 5 seats that are available this year. And it is my recommendation that everyone who can review the budget as proposed and review the candidates' credentials. And on May 20th, you can either vote in person or you can request an absentee ballot from the school administration office. So with that, it concludes my public comments, and we move on to trustee comments. Trustee Sheriff, any
None.
comments?
Nope.
Trustee Brooke,
No comments.
Trustee Turner.
No comments.
All right, great. It's now time for public comment. Starting in the room, has any member of the public wish to speak on any subject of that they believe is important? Anybody at all? Okay, hearing none. Anyone on Zoom wish to make public comment at this point in time? There is a second public comment session at the end of the meeting. If you wish to make public comment, please raise your hand. Seeing no hands raised, we'll move on to the next items, which are the reports, oral and written. The court report will actually be given by the village justice, David Hassan, in person this month. He'll be appearing, he tells me, at about 7:30 because he actually sits on Woodbury Town Court and they had a 5 p.m. session, and he'll be here as soon as that session ends. So we'll give him the opportunity to give that report once he arrives. The next will be Police Chief Alan Faust. Good evening, Chief. The floor is yours.
Good evening. report for the month of March, PD responded to 132 calls, 1 property damage accident, they issued 7 tickets, 11 warnings. 1 fire alarm, 2 burglar alarms, 2 medical calls, 3 assists to the town police. And 1 to the state police, 2,797 miles, approximately 788 cars a day. Next week, the week of the 21st, is the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee announced their no empty chair campaign, which is a big V&T thing for the week, which is speeding in school zones, seatbelt, child restraints, and cell phone use and texting. So our guys will be given some extra emphasis on the cell phones and seatbelts and everything else next week. But that's a good program that they have every year. We also, that police officer that was, the Washingtonville police officer that was killed in the accident on Route 17, Jose Santiago. He worked for our police department a few years ago when he retired from the NYPD. So we helped out the village of Washingtonville with their funeral service, which was really, really touching. And also, I submitted for the approval the applicant, Natalie Welsh, who wishes to become a police officer with our department. Natalie's 21 years old. She has deep roots to the community. Grew up in Tuxedo. And she's one of the sharpest young kids I've ever interviewed. She's 21. She's getting her graduating with her bachelor's degree in May, just finishing up with that. She put herself through phase 1 of the police academy. She needs the sponsorship for phase 2. In the meantime, she also works full-time as a dispatcher in the village of Highland Falls. She works Saturdays in town of Crawford as a dispatcher, and Sundays she usually works in the village of Monroe as a dispatcher. So she's a very energetic and motivator. And as soon as she finishes her degree in May, she says she's going right and starting her master's in police administration in August. So I think she'd be a really good fit for our department. She's young, energetic, helps with our another female for our department, which, I think it would be really good. And I hope that she can get approved.
Thank you, Chief. One question. Have you gotten any feedback from your officers about speeds of vehicles in light of our reduction of the speed limit as of February 1st?
I think people are getting it. Again, the roads are just so narrow here. It's hard to really go 30, you usually have that 5 mile, buffer zone to rate a ticket. So lowering it to the 25 was a really, really good idea. So, so it's 30 now instead of 25 where you could really, prosecute on a ticket. So it has really helped out. I personally see it myself. People are definitely slowing down, and the guys have been out there every day, on those main roads looking for it. So it was a good choice.
Great, thanks, Chief. Any trustee questions for the chief? Seeing none, the next report will be DPW Supervisor Jeff Voss.
Good evening. For the last month, we did cleanups of all the village properties, and most of the triangles around the village. We did the annual spring mowing of the racetrack. We also cut down a bunch of dead trees at the racetrack that were marked by Chris Gow. We did drainage work at the racetrack. We cleaned drains and catch basins after the rain events we had. Picked up fallen trees on Ridge Road, Weewa Road, Lake Stable Road. We were out with our leaf machine when the weather was halfway decent, picked up leaves along the wall and things like that. Worked on trucks and equipment. Plowed snow last Saturday.
Yep.
Which couldn't believe it.
Spring dog.
Okay. We repaired a section of guide rail on Tuxedo Road. Steam cleaned boats. I had called, scrap metal place and, over in Stony Point. They brought us a dumpster and we loaded all our scrap metal in it, so we should be getting a check for that, soon. Water and sewer finished, second quarter meter readings. We removed and cleaned a 8-inch static mixer, at the water plant. Installed seasonal water meters, repaired meters. Performed, utility markouts. Installed 2 new meters at 34 East Lake Road and sent meters out to be tested for accuracy. Responded to 50 Crow's Nest Road after receiving a call of a sewer backup. It happened to be, their personal line. It wasn't something that the village, was responsible for. We had a, sewer pump failure at the water plant. There's a pump station there. We had a pump fail and I had a backup, so we took the old one out and put the new one in. Obtained water meter readings requested by Denise. Continued working on lead line survey. And, forgot, we also, a month or so ago, the board, I needed a new dump, one of the dump trucks, the older dump trucks, the body is completely rusted out. And, so we ended up taking that off and bringing it the truck to Connecticut to get a new body put on it. So that's been done.
Thank you. Any questions for Jeff from any of the
Yeah,
trustees?
did we, do we have an extra backup pump for the sewer, considering you use one?
What I'm gonna do is get the one we pulled out and rebuilt.
Any
And
other?
there are 2 pumps in that
Yeah.
pump station,
Okay.
so even if one
One
goes,
goes, we still-
it will still work.
Awesome.
Any other questions from the trustees? Seeing none, thank you, Jeff. Judge Hassan has arrived. Judge, welcome. It's good to see you. I know you don't come to many of the board meetings.
Good to be seen.
Thank you. Would you please feel free to, the camera's actually over there facing us, so please feel free to stand in front of us, face the camera.
Fringe on
and-
everybody here.
And give, no, if you could turn around and face the camera. And please feel free to give your report to the public.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Judge David Hassan. I've been the judge here in the village of Tuxedo Park for almost 10 years now. For many years prior there too, I was the acting village justice here in Tuxedo Park. I have been a lawyer for over 35 years, and I have been a municipal judge for over 20 years now. The court is run in a very efficient manner. We get building code cases with Mr. Ledwith. I get all the traffic tickets with Officer Serene and Officer Fury, who usually come in. We handle civil cases, evictions, misdemeanors, and those types of cases. I'm here, though, to announce that I would like to seek re-election to my 3rd full term as village justice. I do so because I have a lot of experience, but more than that, I like the job. I like being the judge, and I happen to love the village of Tuxedo Park. There's a lot that goes into being a judge. It's not something you could sort of learn on the job. By doing this over 20 years, I've done thousands of arraignments. I've had hundreds of trials. I've written hundreds of judicial decisions, some on big cases and on cases quite small. But I have a lot of experience doing that. As the village judge from Tuxedo Park, I also represent the village at the CAP, the centralized arraignment part in Goshen. And we do that, every judge in the county has to be on CAP duty a few times a year. And when you're on duty, that means anybody who gets arrested in Orange County, I have to, as the judge on duty, drive to the jail in Goshen and conduct arraignments and send them to jail. Now, with the new bail laws that have gone into effect, there's very little cases where I could, send somebody to jail and set bail. have to be almost murder or rape or 100 pounds of drugs or things like that. So there's a lot of nuance that goes into sentencing and handling criminal defendants and setting bail and things like that. Moreover, as the village judge, we have to submit a monthly report to the Office of Court Administration and maintain 2 checking accounts, one for money that comes in, traffic tickets and the like, and the other for bail. Now, I haven't set bail in Tuxedo Park in a couple of years now, so that account probably is not a lot going on with that one. Alice Confield is our village clerk for the court. She and I have been working together for almost all the years that I've been a judge. We work very well together. And the thing I like to say, well, 80 pounds ago, and maybe 30 or 40 years ago, I was a state champion runner on a state champion track team, and we won every year. We were just a dynamite team. And the coach said, let your running do your talking. Meaning, don't be a braggart. Let your running do your talking. And that's always been my philosophy. The thing is, when you're running for office, you have to sort of slap yourself on the back because you have to tell the people why you deserve to be the village judge. So that is the only reason why I'm going to tell you that this is one of the most efficiently run courts. I treat every party in this case, in this court, with dignity and respect, and everybody gets treated equally. Equal justice under the law is my motto, and just it's not a position that you could really learn on the job. I've had decades of experience now. When you see me do court, if you come here on the 3rd Thursday of the month, it seems like it's a pretty easy job, but there's a lot that goes into it. And it's part of my job to make it look as if it is easy. Make everybody feel comfortable. Nobody wants to be in the village court. They'll have to be. So I always am aware of that, and I don't make people sit and wait. We always start right on time, 5 o'clock, and I'll be here tomorrow. 5 o'clock, we'll be doing court if you want to come and watch. Other than that, that's really all I came here to say. But I'd like to see if maybe I have any questions from the village trustees or about what's going on in the court.
Trustee Sheriff.
Oh,
I have an important one, Judge, and thanks for that summary. That was helpful.
okay.
I'm just
Yes.
curious, when you ran track, what distance did you run?
Well, I ran cross country, so that was 3 miles back in those days. Now it's 5K. I ran the 880, which is 800 meters now. I only did that because the guy who ran the mile was faster than me. Doing the 880, I was able to be the #1 guy, and I did that. It's a tough race, though.
It's a very tough race. That's my specialty. It's a tough
Did you break
race.
2 minutes?
Not as a 50-year-old, no.
No.
But I've broken 210.
No, okay, that's.
It's fast.
I mean, I did 2 minutes, but that was as an 18-year-old.
Well, thank you so much for coming in, Judge. If anybody wants to see the judge in operation, the court convenes tomorrow at 5 p.m. every 3rd Thursday, the day after the Board of Trustees meeting. Appreciate your time.
Good seeing you, John.
Service.
Mayor, great,
Thank
thanks
you,
for
Judge.
having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate
For
it.
your service.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You don't mind if I grab a cookie for the road?
Help yourself.
I told you I might be hungry.
Okay, take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. And now we move on to Building Department. John?
Yes, we have a number of fairly large projects that are ongoing that there doesn't appear to be any problems. Things are moving along. We did issue some violation notices, some informal and some more formal. On Serpentine Road, we had a young lady who left a number of black garbage bags out for an extended period of time. The village had to intervene, and we're waiting for the owner of that property to follow through with what she promised. I reminded her this morning, again, haven't heard anything, but I'll stay in touch.
Well, here's the situation. I took it upon myself to tell John that we would essentially move on the property maintenance law. We could not allow 30 black bags filled with garbage to sit in somebody's driveway adjacent to Serpentine. So we actually obtained a quote from Sterling Harding. It was relatively reasonable. We contacted the resident and said, look, we've got somebody who'll pick it up, but you have to agree to pay the bill. And she did, and the items were removed within 24 hours. They're not there anymore, and they've been sitting there since what, October?
I heard they were there since October.
Right, the neighbors were very patient, apparently. I certainly wouldn't have been that patient. So Sterling Carting removed them. We sent her the bill. We're waiting on payment. However, since it's a property maintenance issue, if she fails to pay that amount, we'll apply it to her taxes, which will be sent out shortly.
June 1st.
Okay, any questions about that from anyone?
Thank you for doing it.
Okay,
Yeah, seriously, well done.
okay, thank you, John. Now, the water department and treasurer reports are attached to the record. So that being all the reports, I make a motion, be it resolved that the board add all written reports to the permanent record. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Brooke, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous 4-0. The next item on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes. I do have a question for the village attorney. The March 10th meeting was not attended by trustee Turner, so he can't vote. We do have three trustees, three members of the board to vote on those minutes. However, trustee Scherer is remote. Do we need three in-person board members to vote on the minutes, or can we vote with one trustee being remote?
I think, Mayor, the vote can occur. You have three people at Village Hall. That allows for the vote to be, from trustee Scherer to vote remotely.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so I make the following resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the minutes from the following meetings. March 10th, 2025, special meeting. Trustee Turner can't vote on that. March 10th, continuation of grievance day. Again, trustee Turner cannot vote on that. March 19th, 2025, Board of Assessors meeting, and March 19th, regular BOT meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Brooke. Any discussion about any of those minutes? Seeing none, with respect to the meetings of March 10th, all in favor other than trustee Turner? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Trustee?
Aye.
Aye, okay. With respect to the meetings of March 19th, everyone can vote. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, so
Aye.
3-0 on March 10th, 4-0 on the March 19th meeting. All right, next item, old business.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but would you mind, or I don't know what your plans were, just to go over just mention the bid results?
I was
before we-
about to go into the bid results. Thank you,
I'm
Elizabeth.
sorry, okay.
That's okay. Now, the Westlake Road Bridge repair was out for bid, and those bids, we received 5, were opened on April 4th. And as part of the bid process, let me tell you, first of all, that the Westlake Road Bridge is it's just south of the intersection with Eagle Mountain Road, and it's been deteriorating over several years. And if anyone's driven on that road, they'll see that the curb line has continued to eat away into the northbound lane. And there was no question that it has to be replaced. So we began the work on replacement. Initially, the DPW did an evaluation, and simply because of the nature of the job, which includes a culvert underneath the bridge that allows water to pass under the bridge, it was decided that we would send it out for bid. So we sent it out for bid last month. It was called an RFP, request for proposals. We received 5 proposals back. They were all sealed bids, and they were opened on April 4th in the presence of the village clerk, as well as Supervisor Voss, myself, and Jake Whirling, one of the bidders. And I'm going to announce the bids, and then I will discuss which bid we're going to accept, and I will turn to John to give us the details of the background check he did in terms of ensuring that it was a legitimate bidder and that bidder could actually perform the work. So the first bid was Belleville Landscaping Inc. out of Congers in Rockland County, and their bid was $233,175. The second bid was from a company called Sunup Construction in Wappingers Falls, and their bid was $625,000. The third bid was Jury Excavating out of Middletown. They were $229,000. Curdy Associates, a company that we're somewhat familiar with for their landscaping work, out of Valley Cottage, bid $272,470. Colonelli Brothers out of Hackensack in New Jersey bid $264,300. Therefore, the low bid was Jury Excavating of Middletown at $229,000. And once the bids were open, John checked it out. So, John, would you give us a brief report on what you did in terms of a background check on that company?
Yes, part of the requirements were that they had to give us some references. So Jeff and I contacted approximately 4 of their references. They've been doing work probably for over 15 years, and the references we checked go back to 2018 right through 2021. No one had anything negative to say, and actually one of the references was Pat Hines, who used to do engineering work for the village of Tuxedo Park, and he's worked with them on a couple of occasions and had nothing negative to say.
Anything
So-
positive?
No, they were positive about them being candid and on time, so we'd like to recommend that we go with Jury Excavating.
Jared, have you, as the village attorney, had the opportunity to review the bids? And do you have any comments on them?
I have not, I will gladly do so, but since they're the lowest bidder, that, absent some issue, we'll certainly let you and John know.
We did have.
Financial viability of the company before we engage them.
They did put some pricing next to the projects that they've undertaken, and they varied from probably 50,000 to probably 2 million. So I think they're 3 million. So I think they're satisfied. Jared, we did have an associate whose name I forget right now from your office.
Oh, is it Rick Tucker?
Yes, Mr. Tucker.
Okay, yeah, so he's
And-
if he's looked at it, then yes, absolutely,
He
that's
did.
what he does.
He thought one of the documents that was required was missing, but I found it today. in the
Wonderful.
Package, so I cleared that with him maybe midday or so.
Excellent. Then yes, we have reviewed it, Mayor.
Okay, great. Any other questions from any of the trustees about this particular project and the proposal, the lowest bid? Okay, then I'll make a motion, be it resolved that the board award the bid for the replacement of the Westlake Road Bridge and Culvert to Jury Excavating, Inc., 160 Bart Bull Road, Middletown, New York, 10941 at the price of $229,000. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from trustee Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Okay. Now, the next item of old business we've discussed, and it involves the issue of whether we want to change our village election date. Now, let me first say that the village election this year will be conducted on June 17th here at Village Hall. The reason we're considering changing, and we've had discussions about that, to November are twofold. Once we, in December of 2023, transferred control of the village elections from the village clerk to the Orange County Board of Elections, the Orange County Board of Elections has always wanted us to change our village election date to November on the date of the general election. And their reason for asking this is because in addition to our June 17th election, they have to manage about 10 days later, or maybe even a week later, a primary, because the primaries in the two political parties take place in June, and the commissioners, Commissioner Vandermark and the other Commissioner Green, have both told me that it's very difficult for them to run our election when they're so deeply involved in making sure that the primaries throughout the county take place properly. So they asked us to change the date of the village election to November. Now, more recently, In January, a grand jury sitting in Goshen on the behest of the district attorney issued a report. And that report was on an investigation of our 2023 mayoral election. And one of the recommendations that was made, there were 4, but the one we're talking about tonight is the grand jury recommended that the village move its election to the month of November on the same date that the general election is held. Because if we were to consider changing from June to November, it would extend the terms of office of the officials who were elected last year, as well as any officials who were elected this year for a period of 6 months, because if an election is held in November, the officers don't take office until December rather than in July. So it pushes everybody's term for 2 cycles, last year and this year, to December, which adds an additional 6 months. You cannot do that simply on a board resolution. It requires the village voters to approve this change. So tonight, we will discuss my proposal that we put a referendum on the June ballot, June 17th ballot, to change the election date for next year and all years after that to the general election date in November. So that's the background on why this proposal is being put forward today. And with respect to this proposal, I would open the floor, it's a rather lengthy resolution on the referendum, for any input from the trustees in terms of how they feel about this proposal to set up a referendum and give it to the voters to decide whether to change our election date to
The
November.
question I would have, I mean, going to go vote once obviously is implicitly easier for everyone. Why wouldn't we do that? Like, what's the rationale of not aligning?
Well, sometimes people would argue that change brings problems. From my perspective, certainly on even numbered years, when there's a presidential election, a senatorial, US senatorial election, a congressional election, the turnout is large, right? On those years that you don't have a presidential election, on the even years you have a gubernatorial election, you're going to get more people to the polls because everyone's going to be voting on a whole bunch of political offices. And the fact remains that it's a good point that voting once a year is a lot easier than voting twice a year. And what it would mean is that from the top of the ballot, let's say it was a gubernatorial year, 2026, you'd have the race for governor, and you'd work your way down through the state offices, state senate, state assembly, county offices, and eventually at the bottom of that ballot, which would be rather large, you would have the offices for the village trustees for 2026. But I think it's a great idea, but I'm open to the opinions of the other trustees.
And where would the village residents vote?
I put that question to Commissioner Vandermark over the weekend. I have not heard back from her. I actually wanted to know, will there be a polling station here?
That would be ideal.
As compared to going to town hall, which we have to do in November anyway. I will certainly let everybody know before this referendum is voted on in June. I will call her and I will provide everybody with that information. I don't know whether she can promise us our own polling station, but that's obviously an important concern to the voters should this referendum be put to them in June.
Mayor, I think the answer to that question is yes, they'll have to, because the village will be its own election within the village confines, so that you will have a polling place local to the village.
Well, I appreciate that, Jared, because I'm still waiting to hear from the commissioner. But okay, that certainly is a positive. Anything else from any of the other trustees? Any comments before I read this rather lengthy resolution? Nothing else? Okay.
I have to step out for a second.
Sure.
I'm in favor of it though.
So be it resolved, whereas on November 15th, 2023, the Village Board of Trustees duly adopted Resolution 1115-04, transferring the conduct of village elections to the Orange County Board of Elections, given the county board's resources and their expertise and experience in conducting municipal elections, and whereas general village elections held in and for the village of Tuxedo Park are currently held on the third Tuesday of June, and all the election districts contained within the village are located wholly within the village and county of Orange, and whereas on January 27, 2025, grand jury term 6 of the Orange County Court, pursuant to its authority under the Criminal Procedure Law, Section 190, 85, Subdivision 1C, issued its report 2025-001, recommending, among other things, that the village boards move village elections, and that is, by the way, village boards plural. This recommendation is statewide, to Election Day in November to enhance voter participation and not impede the efficiency of the Orange County Board of Elections. And whereas the Village Board of Trustees agrees with and adopts the recommendations made by Grand Jury Term 6 with respect to moving village elections in the village of Tuxedo Park to coincide with the date of the general election in November to enhance voter participation and facilitate the efficiency of the Orange County Board of Elections. And whereas pursuant to Election Law 15-104, Subdivision 1C, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tuxedo Park may adopt a resolution providing the village election shall occur on the day of the general election, whereas resolutions providing the village elections shall occur on the day of the general election are typically subject to a mandatory referendum under Election Law 15-104, Subdivision 1A, and Village Law Section 9-912. Now, therefore, be it resolved that in accordance with the Election Law 15-104-1C, the Board of Trustees determines that village elections shall occur on the day of the general election in November, and it is further resolved that this resolution is subject to a mandatory referendum as provided in Article 9 of the New York State Village Law and shall not become effective until a referendum has been conducted approving this resolution, and it is further resolved that the village clerk is authorized to take such action as may be necessary to effect the terms of this resolution. Do I have a second on this?
Second.
Second by Trustee Turner. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, Mayor Citrin,
Aye.
Trustee Brooke,
Aye.
Trustee Shara,
Aye.
and Trustee Turner.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. And Jared, thank you very much for drafting this resolution. It was lengthy and complex, and you did an excellent job.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Glad to assist. Elizabeth, we'll have to post notice of the referendum proposition. I'll talk you through that.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, that concludes old business. New business, we have the Arch Pool Management Company, which managed the Weewa Beach Club for several years, are requesting that we renew. And I'm going to turn to the chair of the Weewa Park Committee, Matt Tenari, to give us a brief synopsis of their proposal for the 2025 summer season.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Mayor. So really quickly, it's a simple extension of the contract from last year. They built in a 3% inflation factor to the price, but they did, we tracked the hours that they weren't able to staff last year that they owed us. So we actually got $1,200 or so credit. So the cash out for the village for this year's contract is essentially exactly the same as last year. I did confirm with Arch that 3% inflation that was built in is, they are in fact paying the lifeguards and the staff 3% more. So it's not just additional profit for them. The only thing, we would recommend to sign the extension with Arch Pools. We thought they did a better job last year than previous years, which is good. But there's still some complaints that we have to iron out. We are going to hold another orientation session for staff that is at the Weewa again this year, and Arch has confirmed that they're going to look to hire the same lifeguards and checkers as last year. which were primarily Tuxedo Park or Tuxedo Town residents, so that's good. The only open thing, I think we need to tweak the language a little bit potentially. I guess maybe Jared can take a look on the insurance. It didn't exactly match what we had last year. I don't think it's a big deal, but it would be ideal if we just kept the exact same language in there.
Thank you. The master services agreement that we signed does indicate that the village would be added as an additional insured on their liability policy, and I'd like to make sure that that's done this year. I didn't see any reference to that on the declaration sheet that they forwarded to us as part of the proposal to renew. So perhaps either Jared or Matt, you can make sure that that's included. We're added as an additional insured.
Yep.
Yeah, please flip it over to me. I'm glad to take a look at it and help out.
Sure.
All right. So let me make this motion. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the First Amendment to the Master Services Agreement of Arch Pool Management for the Weewha Park and Beach Club 2025 season. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Turner. Any discussion between the trustees? Any concerns about the upcoming season?
No, just say thank you, Matt, for arranging this.
Yep, agreed.
And the approval subject to review and approval by
Yes.
the, okay.
Yeah. All right, so I made this motion. It's obviously subject to review by the village attorney. I have a second from Trustee Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, unanimous 4-0. Okay.
Mayor, can I
Next.
have 30 seconds to give a quick playground update?
Oh, absolutely.
So we, after some time, so we put in after the last board meeting where we fortunately got approval to move forward, we put in the purchase order. The Columbia Cascade Company took some time to do all the engineer drawings. They sent that to us. We approved them with the final colors and natural color palette earlier this week. And the current production schedule is looking like 75 days. They're trying to push it faster. So they expect an early to mid-July delivery date at the Weewha. And Jeff, I just sent you over the engineer drawing. So I think we have plenty of time. The good news is we have plenty of time to kind of plan out the install process. But the not so great news is it's coming a little bit later than we would have hoped.
It's happening. It's all that matters.
Happening,
Yeah.
yes.
No, Matt, you did a great job. Thank you so much for all the hard work you did on getting us this playground. And thank you to all the residents that donated generously to the cost. That was pretty incredible. Anything else, Matt?
That's it for me.
All
Thank you.
right, thank you so much. All right, next item on the agenda is renewal of the village employees' health insurance. Let me just give you a little bit of the backstory. Elizabeth and I met with a representative from our insurance agency, Marshall and Sterling, and she provided us with a list of, it's actually 35 plans that are available to us. And I spent a lot of time whittling it down from 35 to 2. One choice would be the renewal of the current MVP plan we have, and the other would be a new plan through United Healthcare. Because both of these plans would result in an increase in the total cost, the premium cost, and the other costs involved, I'd like the opportunity to discuss it with our deputy mayor and budget director, Michelle Lindsay, to get her take on it, because any increase in cost is going to affect her budget numbers. So I would propose that we actually make a decision on this after I speak to her at the budget meeting on April 25th. Does anybody have an objection to waiting until April 25th? The renewal date is June 1st, so that would give us sufficient time.
Not at all.
I would suggest we approve it subject to your final review, so we don't have to bring it up again.
Well, we have to meet on the 25th, so it's going to be a very quick meeting anyway. I know we'll make the recommendation as to Plan A or Plan B, so to speak. So I'd rather do that. But I appreciate the suggestion, Trustee Brooke. So we'll table that until April 25th. The next item is the dental insurance renewal. I have no particular issue with that. That's for employees. So I make the motion, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the CDPHP, which is the Capital District Dental Insurance Plan, at the same rates as last year. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Trustee Turner. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's 4-0. All right, as you're all aware, the next item relates to the bonds that the village will issue for infrastructure repair, primarily water and sewer. As the deputy mayor explained, that will require, in order to ensure that it's funded through the capital fees that are paid into the water and the sewer, it will require an adjustment in the rates. And we had talked about trying to do it ourselves, but we really don't, at least from my perspective, we don't have the skills as individuals to do that. And I turned to a consulting company that actually worked with us previously, and the consultant's name is Ed Marcus. And I asked him to put a proposal forward to work with us to determine, essentially back in the rates, recommended rates that would cover the principal and interest payments for the bonds when they're ultimately issued later this year. And he did provide a proposal, and I'm going to make a motion to open the discussion. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with Amawak Consulting Group, LLC, for professional consulting services and preparing recommendations for revisions to water and sewer services, total billings not to exceed $22,000. Now, Michelle believes that she can actually get this hourly rate of about $275 to the point where the total bill will be substantially less than $22,000, because she has all this information she's going to provide to them, will reduce the amount of work they have to do to actually get the job done and make the recommendations. So we can either wait for Michelle to give a broader explanation of this, or we can vote on it now. So do I have a second, and then we can talk about whether to table it or move forward?
Second.
Second by Trustee Brooke. Any discussion about this consulting agreement?
I think it's a good idea.
Yep. Okay. All right. So let's take a vote on hiring Amawak Consulting to work on updating the sewer and water rates for the village, and also for the town residents who receive water service from the village. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. The next item is a Weston and Sampson proposal relating to storm system GPS. This was an issue that was raised by Professor Hayes and Trustee Scherer in terms of trying to determine where the water runs down and how essentially mapping it out through a GPS and a GIS system. And we received a proposal from Weston and Sampson, who are our engineers, that they would be able to do the mapping in conjunction with Jeff and to some extent John, so that we know where the water that falls ends up and how it gets to the point, whether it's one of the lakes or someplace else. It's a rather complex project. Jeff, would you be able to just give us a brief rundown on how this is going to take place? And
Well, I just, it's gonna take quite some time to do it, because I'm not gonna be able to dedicate weeks on end to be able to do this work. I'm hoping to be able to dedicate maybe one day a week to working on this. But like I said, it's gonna take some time. It's not gonna happen. I just don't want the expectation that, oh, within 3 weeks, we're gonna have all this work.
I think we know that this is a multi-month, if not even a multi-year project. The problem is we've been talking about it for years. And so the mere fact that we're actually starting it is massive progress. So I think we understand, and our expectations are appropriately set.
yes, Professor.
Is it clear to Jeff what you need to do and what?
John and I had a meeting with Joe Zombo from Weston and Sampson last week and got some more clarity, and I think we may have that the woman from Weston and Sampson, when we get started to come out, you know, they've done it before.
Right.
She can give us some tips on how to best proceed, so.
Do you know where most of the catch basins are?
I do. I think a lot of it we'll be able to do by what we know.
Yeah.
But there's gonna be some some of it's gonna be difficult, you know.
Right. Okay.
So,
Any other discussion from anyone on this?
And do you think it's worthwhile?
any information, yes, it definitely is.
Okay,
The
good.
more information you can have on the infrastructure.
Yep.
Excuse me. All right, then, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorize the mayor to sign the proposal submitted by Weston and Sampson for engineering services related to storm system, GPS location, and GIS update support for a total estimated fee of $20,200. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. 4-0, thank you. Next item is to accept the resignation of Julie Reed, who has moved from the village. She was on the Board of Architectural Review. So I be resolved that the Board of Trustees accept the resignation of Julie Reed from the Board of Architectural Review. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, with respect to filling that vacancy, the board had the opportunity to either interview in person or review the taped interviews of two of the three candidates. And the third candidate actually had been previously interviewed back in July of 2024 for an earlier vacancy that was filled by Julie Reed. As the mayor, it's my duty to nominate, subject to approval by the members of the Board of Trustees, a replacement for Julie. And I've determined that it is in the best interest of the village and the bar that the candidate, William Mincy, who is a licensed architect and a practicing architect, would add the most expertise to the bar. I don't know when the last time was that we actually had an architect who was sitting there as a member of the Board of Architectural Review, but everyone's had a chance to review his resume. He's very skilled and very experienced. And I think that he would add a great amount to the deliberations that the bar does with respect to the applications for the residents. So it's my duty to make a motion, and be it resolved that the Board of Trustees appoint William Mincy of Clubhouse Road, I don't recall the address, to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Julie Reed from the Board of Architectural Review for the remainder of her term, which will expire it's actually July 2029. Would be the term at this point in time. Do I have a second? Any second for this nomination? Second by trustee Scherer. Discussion about this nomination.
My understanding is there was one candidate who didn't meet the filing deadlines. So we considered all the candidates, and seems like a good candidate.
Okay. Anything else from anybody on the nomination of William Mincy? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Elizabeth, would you get in touch with him and let him know he has to sign the oath book before he attends a meeting?
Yes, I will.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Now, the next item is a discussion of a contract for services within the village and Tuxedo Ambulance Corps. Gentlemen, welcome. I know you've been before us before. I've met with Mr. Yanuzzi privately during mayor's office hours. You've had a chance, I believe, to speak to our village attorney. Would any one of the three of you like to come up and make a presentation as to what you're proposing? Mr. Yanuzzi, you have the floor. You can make your introductions and give us your presentation.
Sure. Todd Yanuzzi, and I am a resident since I guess 1996 here in Pennsylvania. Been involved in the ambulance corps for 15 to 20 years, I think. And as a driver and an EMT and a recent treasurer or co-treasurer with my colleagues here, because I'm still getting up to speed with the job. But basically what we're trying to do is ask for some direct village support for our operations. And that is really an effort to ensure and enhance specifically for the village, but of course, we're in the entire community and the community that passes through our area. A quick background is that we've had fewer calls as an entity post-COVID, and that's a phenomenon that's not unique to our area, but part of it is probably due to work from home and people having more time and the proliferation of urgent care facilities. But nevertheless, we still have calls and significant calls, and we have costs that are increasing, you know, irrespective of the amount of calls that we have. So what I'd like to do in terms of is to enhance the services and offer things like we've talked about to the village specifically, and they're always offered to the general community. We have provided CPR training to the police officers and research, for example, and we charge a super nominal fee of $20 for having done that. But the equipment is quite expensive. Even the dolls that are used, you know, we have infant and adult CPR dolls. We like to offer quarterly in-village open training that could cover employees. It could cover individuals that are interested, new parents, babysitters, club employees, and CPR. Even before we get on the scene, CPR is proven to save lives. Okay, and so that is literally that we would be able to upgrade our services. Could be broad, but that would include that and standbys that we do. And standbys, people are familiar when we're on the side of the fireworks, for example, but they may be less familiar when we're on the side of a fire that's taking place without occupants, but in Tuxedo, the village of Tuxedo Park. And we're there to support the firemen if they need it or anyone gets injured. Or if we are doing a car recovery of a flipped over vehicle that's lakeside, there's an ambulance for the occupant of the car, and there's a second one scrambled on a standby basis to assist anybody that might be injured during the recovery phase. So again, a lot of what we do is being ready to act, and a lot of what we do is being on standby. None of those are revenue issues for us. So we also need capital equipment, and we'd like to enhance our capital equipment. And we're highly regulated, we're highly inspected, and we're up to speed on all those measures. But then there are devices that are not required that are also in our minds essential, and they're quite costly. An example of that would be a Lucas device that does automated compressions and doesn't get tired, right? And it clamps around a person, so it can be done on a soft surface because it has a hardboard baked in. And they're about $30,000 a piece. We want to have one in each ambulance, so that's 30 times 2, and one in the fly car. The fly car is the paramedic vehicle. But again, all this equipment adds up. And the power stretchers, we gave tours to some of the trustees. Power stretcher allows you to lift someone up and not, not break your back doing so. Lift 700 pounds. It's about $80,000, right, for the stretcher. You haven't bought the ambulance around it, so. Again, because the call volume is down, that's our major source of revenue. And the only other source of revenue we have are donations, which we appreciate. And we have been so happy to have the community respond when they did, because we had a second vehicle, or one of our 2 vehicles out of service with a blown engine. So there was an unexpected capital need of $20,000 or so. We didn't know the exact number till we did the work, but the community answered, and we had literally, we raised in excess of what we needed for just that ambulance, but we put that money quickly to work. And I'm wearing a jacket. It's freezing out today. The jackets are uniforms. They're protective equipment. They're reflective. They identify us, right? So they're needed. And we're in a constant state of trying to get volunteers and equip them, right? And the more volunteers, if we don't have enough volunteers and they're not properly prepared, they can't respond, and we can't respond, which means a call will roll to a neighboring town. right? Which is gonna add time, and we don't want that to be the case. So what I think if in the past, the village has not really directly supported us as an entity, and we are requesting that at a range of between $30,000 and $70,000. And that will help us along that spectrum, you know, do exactly what we're talking about, and also capital into our reserve fund, which has been depleted, and to do the cycle of replacement we need and the maintenance we need on our vehicles and keep our people safe. And again, provide those supplemental services, which we are doing to the best of our abilities, and we will advertise those classes. And I think that'll be, I'm hoping, well attended and a purposeful, and also high school students and college kids, you know, anybody would be welcome. We could do it right here, and we'll have the best equipment and the best people doing it. So that's what we're asking for.
Well, thank you for that presentation. Would any of the trustees be interested in working with the ambulance corps and Jared? To the extent that there are certain constitutional prohibitions with respect to donating money to, you know, organizations. Any trustee have any interest in working one-on-one, the ambulance corps, to come up with a proposal in terms of, you know, 30 to 70 is a wide range. Anybody at all?
Yeah, I would help. I would say a couple of things. You're providing incremental services and training other people, babysitters, instead of with CPR. In the past, when you've approached the village, it was perceived as a donation, and we're prohibited by law from making donations. So there's a contract that's not a donation. The town pays significant fees for standby personnel, which are
900,000 or so for paramedics.
yeah,
Is that the number?
800 or 900,000. And we don't contribute to that except in the fact we pay taxes into the town. So this is merely a reasonable attempt to provide funding for services that are in our interest for our employees, and I'm happy to work with them.
Okay, thank you, trustee Brooke. And Jared, I guess you can be involved to the extent that there are any issues of law that have to be addressed.
Yep, glad to assist. I had
Rob,
spoken
we can't
with,
hear you.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Glad to assist. I had spoken with President Kilduff just the other day about this, and I'm glad to work with trustee Brooke and trying to put together some proposal. Any contract that the village is going to entertain is going to be subject to a public hearing. But step one is to come up with some terms and then prepare something for the board's review and for the review of the constituents at the hearing.
Thank you. President Kilduff, do you have some words you'd like to?
Yes, thank you. Excuse me. And I'm John Kilduff. I'm the president of the ambulance corps. I've been the president for like 20 years now. I didn't realize that until recently pointed out to me. I want to thank you all very much for having us tonight and having this item on the agenda, Mayor and trustees. As a former Village Tuxedo Park trustee myself and deputy mayor, I know the work that goes into all of this and these considerations that have to be weighed out. I just want to amplify what Todd said in terms of just the magnitude of the expenses that have grown over the years. For example, back, I'm going to say the last ambulance that we got was about $180,000. The current one that we're building right now, through the unbelievable generosity of one of the park residents' families, is pushing 300 plus. So our business model is similar to that of the hospital at Good Sam or any other hospital you could think of, where in that we're a nonprofit. But we do get insurance revenue, we do get Medicare revenue, some Medicaid, and then the donations that Todd referenced. What's becoming problematic for us is that, again, the cost of the ambulances, the cost of the equipment, the cost of the everything from the gloves to the gauze and everything else, and the oxygen tanks, is putting a real strain on sort of us operationally and budget-wise. Somehow we continue to just sort of eke it out every year. You know, we don't really lose a lot, but we don't ever really make a lot. What we're looking for here is just sort of some incremental support to what we do. and sort of a billing arrangement of some kind where Todd, as Todd mentioned, we're doing the standbys, we're offering the training, and we're here to support the village and its employees and its undertakings in terms of how we operate and continue to maintain a very high level of service to the community. I just want to make sure too, everyone is aware that the line item in the town budget for the paramedics is significant. The Tuxedo Volunteer Ambulance Corps, however, doesn't get any of that money, but we do support that effort. We allow and we house the paramedic service, for example, both them, their personnel basically living there the 24/7. There's a bedroom for them, there's a kitchen, and obviously we give them a garage space for their unit, their fly car, which we're happy to do. We don't charge any rent for that. Again, it's part of all of us working together here monetarily, especially. It wouldn't make any sense really for us to charge RPS for any of that and then only have them just have to charge the town. So that's what we all pitch in here. And again, I just also want to point out too, that one resource that the ambulance corps is for the youth of both the town and the village. We have produced now 2 medical doctors who are former youth corps members. We have another rising star who is considering a college degree that will push her that way as well. So that's a big part of it. And again, we're trying to figure out the best way to sort of get a steady stream of financial support. So we're not sort of having to have an emergency fundraiser down at the local.
The point of the large expense that the town pays, we're actually contributing to that by the medical reimbursements that are advanced life support. We have a revenue, I guess, rebate to the town for that. So it cuts into our expense. We're supporting that. We're all volunteers. That contract pays a 24/7 paramedic and it pays a weekday EMT from 7 to 7 because we can't and never have supported a volunteer for, professional EMT during the day. But night times and weekends and the support of those people, even during the days, because I'll get called during the day to go on a call to support the paid paramedic and paid EMT because you need a third person.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Trustee Brooke will be in touch with you or vice versa, and you'll organize a meeting and come up with a proposal. And we appreciate all the service that you provided over these many years to the village and to the town, and we look forward to be able to give you some support in exchange.
Appreciate that and our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, Chief, this is yours. It is to authorize the hiring of part-time police officer Natalie Walsh. I think you already mentioned her, and you're recommending this, of course.
Absolutely.
So be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve hiring Natalie, is it Welsh or Walsh? I'm sorry?
Welsh.
With an E or an A?
ALS.
Okay, so it's Walsh. All right. Well, change that. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve hiring Natalie Walsh, WALSH, as a part-time police officer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Every year for several years, the town has utilized Weewha Park for the summer camp they run. They're requesting permission to do the same this year. I believe the dates will be July 7th to August 8th in the morning. Last year and previous years, the fee they paid to the village was $5,000. They're prepared to do the same. They provide their own lifeguards. They have their own insurance, and at least as far as last year was concerned, it worked out rather well. So I'm going to make a motion. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the intermunicipal agreement with the town of Tuxedo for the use of Weewha Park by the town of Tuxedo summer camp. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Turner. Any discussion about this? Anyone at all? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. We have a cleaning crew that comes in. that cleans Village Hall. They'll be cleaning once a week, and they clean the police station once a week. The name of the firm is Acosta Costa DMA LLC Cleaning Services. They've been doing it for a while. Elizabeth, how long have they been cleaning our properties?
Let's see, I'd say about 4 years.
Okay, and they'd like to continue to do the work. So be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorize the mayor to sign the proposals from Acosta DMA LLC for professional cleaning services rendered during the fiscal year 2025-26 as follows. Police Department, in an amount not to exceed $127 for routine weekly cleaning service, special services to be quoted upon request, and with respect to Village Hall, in the amount of $87 for routine weekly service cleaning, special services to be quoted upon request. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the last item under new business, a group of residents had contacted me. They would like to have an informational session with respect to the upcoming budget vote and elections at the Tuxedo Union Free School District, and they would like to have this informational session at Weewa Park. It would be purely informational. It will not be a candidates forum. It will be an opportunity for residents to come to learn how to a little bit about the budget, to learn how to cast their ballot, whether it be in person or by absentee, strictly informational. And I already spoke to the chair of the Weewa Park Committee, Matt Tenari, and he personally has no objection to this event taking place sometime, obviously before the beach club opens. It would be, the election is May 20th, so it'd be sometime in the next month.
And is it someone who's running for election?
It is not.
Okay.
Okay, the people who are organizing this are not candidates.
Great.
They are residents who will, obviously we're all entitled to vote, but they have no involvement in, they're not candidates for election. Okay, so in the sense it's nonpartisan.
Cool.
All right, so be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorize the holding of a public information session at Weewa Park about the upcoming Tuxedo Union Free School District budget vote and elections. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Turner. Any further discussion about this? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 4-0. Okay, Election Day 2025. Be it resolved that polling hours on Election Day, June 17, 2025 will be from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. and elections will be held at 80 Lorillard Road. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we're getting close to the end. Audit of claims. Elizabeth, do you have anything to address on that?
No, there was nothing unusual in last month's billing. Bills for the general fund were in the amount of $146,226.24. Bills for the water fund were $29,383.79. And bills for the sewer fund were in the amount of $5,545.71. Nothing unusual to report.
Any questions from the trustees for Elizabeth as the treasurer on those amounts? No. Nope. Okay. Next item, budget transfers, rather nominal, Elizabeth. Anything
Yeah, just a
specific
few,
about them?
for general fund, I wanted to move some money out of, recreational contractual line, because most of our expenses for that line occur from June onward. So I was gonna move a little bit out there, $5,010 out, from that line, and puts, $2,010 into the snow removal line. I thought we were done with that, but we did have our last little snowfall, hopefully last one. And I'd like to put $3,000 in the garbage contractual line, because I think we're a little bit low there. And in the sewer fund, I'd like to move $4,000 from the sewage I&I line, 8130.45, to the sewage personnel line, 8130.1, $4,000, and that's
With
it.
respect to that transfer, do you have any, is there any reason why we're adding to personnel at this point? Is it overtime or something else?
No, it's just the numbers were a little bit higher than were budgeted, that's all.
Okay, all right.
Elizabeth, it's not $2,000 every time it snows, is it?
Oh, so you talk about the snow removal, that is overtime, yes.
Okay. Wow.
And it just, that's what it came to. It was
Is that what it came, is this essentially what it came to plow on April,
Yeah,
what,
Exactly.
last Saturday?
yeah, that was about 3 people or so working overtime, and I think that was, I can't remember offhand the number of hours.
Got it.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, now, the next item is next item is closing comments. Any member of the public, have any comments to make? Seeing none, any trustees have any closing comments they want to make?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, we now move into executive session. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees leave the public meeting and enter executive session at 8:23 PM to discuss attorney opinions regarding front gate access. Do I have a second?
Seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, Jared Cashaw, Elizabeth.
Are we still recording?
No, I'm gonna turn that off.
Are we back on? Right. All right, there's no resolutions arising out of the executive session, no action with respect, no public action to be taken at this point. So be it resolved that the Board of Trustees adjourn the public meeting at 8:45 PM. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And
Have a good
remember,
night,
guys,
everyone.
we
Take
got a
care.
Friday late afternoon meeting on the 25th.
Yep.
5 o'clock, okay? 5 o'clock.
be there.
We should be out, assuming there aren't a lot of people screaming about the budget.
Oh, okay.
We should be out in less than an hour.
And, he paid the fee.
went to
This guy did the work, yes, the $550.
What do I know?
What do I know?
No,
It's okay.
went to my
It's all right.
sister's in Connecticut. She always has the